So with many of our customers currently going through budgeting process for next financial year, we thought we'd produce a short video to highlight how our Hands-on Systems Financials Cube can assist with that budgeting process. To describe what we've got in front of you, we're using Excel 2013 and all of the concepts that we'll be showing in this presentation are available with Excel 2010 and the Hands-on Systems Cube. Let's start by explaining what we're looking at. We're looking at the financial analysis, the Financials Cube. We've got the financial periods along the top and a slicer, and we've grouped those by the financial year, so there's 12 across there. We can also select our budgets if we're looking at a particular budget or looking at a group of budgets. Same with groups. So in this case we've got the accounting groups for operating expenses and personal expenses selected, as well as aggregation, which we'll come to later on in the demonstration. So we're looking just at the profit and loss, and we've got the grouping as well as the account and account names with the budgeting amount, the amount and the variance between the amount and the budgeting amount shown in there. So you can see that there are some variances, and those variances apply across the entire financial year. And if we include the total revenue, what you'll see is that the budget amount of $2 million in this case is only partly achieved, and that's only partly achieved because we've got budgets for March. So we can easily change that by selecting our February period through back to our start of financial year period, and you can see that those budget figures are a lot closer. So we've already started filtering on a year-to-date figure. And there's a better way that the cube supports to derive year-to-date. So we will select our February period. We will then go to our aggregations, and we will select from our aggregations the year-to-date aggregation. And so that year-to-date aggregation goes back to the current financial period and sums up all the values against up until February. In addition, what we can start doing now is bringing in what the year-to-date figures were for last year. So now we can see the amounts that were in our actual amounts recorded for last year, and we can also show the variance for those year-to-date figures against our year-to-date figures against the last year amounts. So we're starting to build up a picture of how we're tracking this year-to-date, how we were tracking at the same point last year, and any differences that you'll see. If we take out the total revenue and we look at just the cost expenses, then we can see the amounts grouped into the different expense types against year-to-date last year with the variance on that. So that's all very helpful information and useful to draw out details about whether or not the actuals have exceeded budgets. We might need to change budgets, or whether or not the budget was an anomaly from last year, or if it's increasing in trending last year and to this year. So we can do the same thing with the full year to drive that information. But what I wanted to show is turning this information into a month-on-month analysis. So this is looking at the total picture of the year, but also we may want to see what the year-to-date figures were for each month as we were tracking through the financial year. And we can do that quite simply by including our field listing, and we move our fiscal period across into our column set, and at the top of our column set, and then we drill into the fiscal period and we show it at the period level. Now what we'll see then is the February period reproduced, and we can start including other periods. So we can look at March and April, and against each of those periods we will have the year-to-date figures, what those year-to-date figures were last year, and what the variance was against those year-to-date figures. So there you can see our February data, variances, we can see our March data with our variances, and we can see our Q4 data with our variances against that. A very powerful analysis tool, and we can take this data and we can transform it using Excel. We can manipulate it and extend it, and we can take budget amounts for certain accounts. It's as simple as copying and pasting, and if we were doing a copy and paste, we might want to exclude the totals, so get rid of those totals, take those values, either increase the budget amount, reduce the budget amount, take the actual amount, and apply variations to that before importing it back into Dynamics application. So I hope this showed the usefulness of the cube in extracting information out of the system, particularly around the budget information and the comparisons of the budgets and the amounts, and how that might be useful for working through the somewhat complex task of generating budgets for the next financial year. Thank you very much.